Hi, Travis with Splunk here. So continuing with these latest videos I've been doing around IT Essentials work and IT Service Intelligence, I'm actually going to go away from IT Essentials work and more into IT Service Intelligence now. And what I mean by that is IT Essentials work is a free application that you can download now and start working on onboarding your entities, discovery searches, create those entity types to match your discovery searches, or go download the content packs that are available by Splunk. And you'll get to a point where just looking at metrics, vital metrics, like you can see here with the Meraki sensor, is just not enough. You want to monitor something as a service. You want to group stuff up in regions. There may be a few different ways you want to go about this. So then we need to start creating services. So I'm going to jump back over to my service analyzer here, which is a feature once you buy a license for IT service intelligence and is unlocked. So I highly recommend a lot of people to start with IT Essentials Work, the free app, to get the data onboarded and get your different entity types and the data flowing in. But when you're ready to take that next step and look at things as a service, we can do that now. Now, a service is just and I love how one of my coworkers says this, a logical grouping of key performance indicators. So you can see every little dot that I have here is a service. So I have a service for my agents, my universal forwarders, and if they're connected, right now they're red because the way I built this out, which I can show this later on in another video, which I may do just so I can remember how I did it myself. But here you can see I have two workstations that are not reporting. Now you can say zero reporting, one's not reporting. I mean, you can flip it around however you want to make this your own. You can definitely do that. But that's the beauty of a service. I can come in here and say, Hall, this is my network. This is what Hall is dependent on. So if I have a problem with my firewall, it would affect my health score here, but it's not. I do have issues with my Kubernetes environment, which is my host, which would be if I remember correctly, it's going to be the swap percentage usage and memory free, apparently. I'm running out of memory on that box. But here I can map out these different services to then affect other services, make them dependent on each other, to then go, hey, I've got a problem over here, so I'm not calling all the different teams. And that's that jump that I was talking about when you want to go from the free app of just knowing if something's up or down, or if you need to start mapping out the applications, the network, the service can be dependent on what you think it needs to be. But how do I build a service? How do I map this out and where do I start? I mean, this could seem like a lot, but you start small at first and just build onto it. And a neat feature inside of IT Service Intelligence is the service sandboxing that I want to cover in today's video. So first things first, before I go into the service sandbox, let's jump over to documentation. Now, service sandbox, I think it's only been around for a little over a year. I'd have to go back and check. I know I'm maybe a little late making this video. I know I got busy over the summertime, so it's been a while since I've made a video. But Service Sandbox is a nice feature for you to go in there and understand how to set up and onboard a service and map those service dependencies. Now, it's not perfect, but it's a way to do it. Now, there's multiple ways to build out a service tree, as I'll call it, or I've heard other people call it as well. I've done it via CSV file. So there is multiple ways to create services. You can create them, and I'll show different ways. I'm going to show the service sandbox in this video. The next video I'm going to do, I'm probably going to just create the one service for Meraki sensor and go from there. But here is the documentation. I'll make sure I have a link down below, the prereqs, create a new service, why you would go into Service Sandbox, and how to use this. And so I'm not the best at it, but I'll show you what I know inside of the Service Sandbox. Let's go back over to my Splunk environment, and we will start building out that service. Now, if anybody's been paying attention in previous videos, I used to, I think I would jump in here and kind of flip around, but there was another service that was in here. It said something like Meraki sensors. Well, that was an old way of doing the data collection where I was sending the sensor data in a events index, event type index. And the last few videos was showing how I've taken, created a new script to bring in the data as metrics to put into a metrics index, which is faster for when searching and whatnot. I deleted that service before starting this video because I think I broke the script, or I'm not sure what happened, but it wasn't bringing in any data. So I was like, this is a perfect time to delete it and build the new one that I've been working towards. So I'm going to come up here to configuration and then say service monitoring, and then click on Service Sandbox. This is going to bring up the Service Sandbox menu, GUI. I already have a few of them in here where you can see, firewall ports. I actually, before this video, I mean, literally 10 minutes ago, I was messing around with the firewall ports. And when I came in here, I'd actually published this one. Well, I didn't publish this one yet, and you can see I can publish it now, but when I publish it, it becomes read only. So I'm going to back up one and go to the firewall sandbox. This is how I learn. I kind of build and play around. I've created multiple of these. Now you can see there's a difference here. This sandbox is read only. So to continue editing this one, I would have to clear the sandbox, revert it, or whatnot. And I think I clicked reset sandbox on the other one, and it just basically cleaned everything out. So what we'll do today is actually go back to, hit the back button, and we're going to create a new one. Because I want to build one around the Meraki sensor. So I'm going to come up here and click Create Service Sandbox. And then I'll give it a title. We'll just say Meraki sensor stuff. Whatever you want to call it. We'll hit Create. Now it's going to have a new sandbox here that I can play in. I have 0 services and 0 linked service templates. And then if I click edit, I can edit this, edit description, or delete it. And if I just click on it, it'll take me into the beginning of the service sandbox, where I can create new content or import this from a CSV. For today, I am going to click create new service. If I want, I could create something from a template as well and start there if I've already created a template, but I'm going to assume that you've never created a service in the first place, so we're going to just create a new one. Now, this is where we start creating the service, the top of the tree. So I'm just going to call this one Meraki Sensor. I'll put sensor since I have multiple. Now, if I want to give it a description, I can. And if I want to limit this to a certain team, I can do that as well. And it erased my name, so let's do that again. Sensors. I'm going to hit create and save. What this is going to do is take me into the sandbox to where I can now create a new service. I can click on the Meraki sensor and see what's going on with this as far as entities, if there was any entity rules that had been created when I used a service template. I can show you that here in a second, what I'm talking about. But since this is a fresh one, new, there's not going to be anything in here. I mean, it's going to have service health score because its own service health score there for KPIs, but service dependencies, there's nothing simulated. I mean, I can actually simulate something, but there's nothing there yet. And then settings. If I want to enable this service or even choose a team. But we haven't, I mean, I could just click publish right now and go, but in my opinion, if you're just going to create a single one like this, you've wasted a lot of time already. And I'll show you, actually, probably not in this video, because this is one around service sandboxing, but I'm going to go into another video here. I'll try to get that recorded here shortly, where I'm going to actually build this from scratch, not using a service sandbox, to show you that there is multiple ways to get this done. But here I do want to start mapping out maybe regions, and I'll call them north, south, east, and west. So here at Meraki Sensors, I'm going to create a new service. Let's call it north. And once again, I can put a description if I need to and assign it to a team, create and save. I'm going to leave it global because the test environment, and I haven't really set up all the permissions and teams and stuff like that. You know, like a bigger environment or would be doing. And then there is north. Now it's not connected. I can move it, you know, when I move it around, you can see those two are not connected, but hopefully, try to zoom in here a little bit. Hopefully you can see that there is a plus sign, little blue circle with a plus sign in it. Yeah, I can't zoom in anymore. I don't know if I try to zoom in, I'll do up to 125% there. Let's just readjust that for the rest of the video. But here, hopefully you can see that. I can actually click on that and drag it up to the Meraki sensor. Now, what that does is it links it. It now made Meraki sensor dependent on north. And if I want, I can create another one. Let's say south. I figured that would be easy for just showing you like different regions. I have a south region, north region, or if you have different networks, you know, those sensors are actually part of different networks. So I could have said network ID this or, you know, this campus. I mean, it's really whatever your teams think they need to be. If I want to say web servers, database servers, network devices. I mean, that's the beauty of having IT service intelligence, like a big old Lego set where you can start building what makes sense for your own team. Now here I just quickly grabbed the plus sign. And if I wanted to change it, I mean, I could come in here and make it dependent on this and that. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do. I don't think you know, if, yeah, this would be dependent on south and, yeah, I don't know why I would ever do this. There's probably a reason why we would do this. I'm not sure why I would ever do this. And now I've got to figure out how to. All right, let me come back in here because I don't know if I can actually. I've never done this before. I don't think I can delete it from in here. What I'll have to go is over here to service dependencies. That's not a thing. What I'll have to do is actually go up to Meraki sensor, click on that one, click on service dependencies, and I'm going to delete, remove dependency. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I need to click on north in service dependency and remove it from here. So let me remove dependency there. All right, and then I can actually come back in here and reattach it to there and not drag it back over here like I did just before. But you can see there's multiple ways to attach dependencies to these sensors just with that little demonstration. Right now, if I'm clicking on Meraki sensors, you can see right here 2 dependent KPIs, which is north and south. If I wanted the simulated health score is off right now, I could put it on, and then I can make adjustments here of importance. So I can leave it 10, take it down to 10 on each. You know, this is where you can play around with these settings. I know if you put something to 11, if it goes critical, it will affect the overall health score. It has more importance no matter what. So I usually set it to 10 unless it's something that's really important, like my WAN port and it's down. Yeah, that's really important. If that goes down, I make the thing critical. And then settings, once again, that's just for your teams. You can do that. KPIs. Yeah, there is no KPIs here because this is a brand new service that we've not built any KPIs. This wasn't a service template that I brought in. And same thing for filtering out the entities. Now, if I come in here and click on create new service, actually, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to create from service template. I want to click that one. This is where I can say north. And if you notice, once I typed in north, it's telling me, hey, you can't do that. You've already got something named north. But if I say north Unix servers. Now I could add that. And then I can come down here and actually find the template. Do I want to use my small Linux template, my K8's host? These are ones that I've built for myself, or hopefully I've mentioned earlier that there's content packs out there. These content packs already have some services pre-built, and they'll have sometimes service templates. Not all of them do, but I know the Windows and the Unix and Linux server do have content pack and do have service templates that you can use and modify, clone, and make your own, which that could be another story, another video for another day. But here I am going to use the one that I created, the small Linux template, because I'll show you what I've done with that one. It shows you I have one entity rule and then 10 KPIs, and then create and save. So here it will take a bit and hopefully not too long. There we go, to create that. And now I actually have North Unix servers. Now, it doesn't, this may not make sense unless you're not calling this Meraki sensors. I could come in here and rename this one and call it called Enclave. Done. Okay, that makes more sense. And then in North, maybe I want to have my North Unix servers. And then I'm going to create a new service, and maybe I want North Meraki sensors. Create service. I can start, mapping out how I want to view all of this data. I'm going to drag that up to here. So you can see how I can start building a template for how I want to organize my data. And here, if I look at the North Unix servers, I've already got KPIs. I've already got an entity rule to where it can go in here and find, yes, I do Splunk anything that's in my home network. So Minecraft servers and Starbound were Splunked. But I can bring, I already have these entity rules. I can go make adjustments to these. I can't do it from here since it's a service template. I'd have to go into the actual service template and make the adjustments. But I could build another service template that maybe not configured to have host names in there. And that's going to be dependent on your team and how you all want to do this. But just know that you can have it there. And then if I'm looking at the KPIs here, if I click on one of these, it's going to then take me over to the actual service template and allow me to make changes if I need to for this or understand what's going on here. Let me go ahead and close that out. And then as I'm going along, if I don't want to lose my work, I can click Save as a Draft. Save as a Draft won't publish this, but it will make it available for me to publish at a later time. But I'm at least taking a backup right now, or a save, so I don't lose my hard-earned work. Backfill, if you want that on, off, and if you want to import from a CSV file, you can definitely do that and bring that into this service template that you're building here. What I will do actually, I can go ahead and completed health score. This is where I can make adjustments here with all the different pieces. But here, once I click publish, it will actually put this into my IT service intelligence environment. It's going to go through and validate the 5 services, make sure there's nothing pre-checked, make sure there's nothing's going to cause problems. You can come back to our documentation to understand exactly what that is doing when you click publish, which is probably a lot better than me thinking what it's going to do, what I hope it's going to do, or just click save like I do and see what it does. But it does a pre-check. Shouldn't be any problems. Never going to say there's never any problems because there's always gremlins in every system. You never know what's going on. And then it'll publish it. So now I can go view the services in the analyzer and start making changes here as well. That's interesting, because it already seems to filter down, but it doesn't have the filter right there. Huh. That's interesting. I'll have to play around with that. But here you can see that that service is published. If I come back over to my, I'll go and entity overview and go to default analyzer. It should show up here as well. And that's where if I look in here, it probably is in the URL up there. It may show up here as well. Yep, right there. All enclave. Now it's gray because I did not have, if I go back to the service sandbox, view in sandbox, it's now going to tell me it should be in read only. Yep, there it is, read only. And I believe when I click, it's not going to, there it goes. This should have been not, I think there was a setting somewhere where it would make it enabled by default, which I don't believe I clicked that on. I'd have to go back and look and see if that's really there or not. I don't mind it not being enabled when I first click it on. I mean, I'll go back through and enable it once I get here. But right now it is not enabled. So if I go to actually look at the service, unless I come in here and it shows me and proves me wrong, this should not be enabled. Oh, I need to go to configuration, service monitoring, and then let's go to services. And that's where I can see if I type in a keyword hall, that one is disabled and created by Meraki sensor stuff. So default configuration, but this one was Meraki sensor stuff. Last thing that I will show here real quick, because it's sitting here, is, and I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to go back here to Service Sandbox. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go back to configuration, service monitoring, service sandboxes, and show you what I did earlier. So the Meraki sensor stuff, if I click on it, it takes me right into the service sandbox. That's read only. So there's a couple different options. I can revert or reset. If I reset, this all goes away that I've just worked so hard to build for you in this video. Now, I have not clicked revert. So reverting will remove services in a sandbox from production. Any changes made to these services and their KPIs, last published will be lost. Let's see what happens. Revert. So now it should rip it out of the service analyzer. I'm going to click done. It did not remove any of the hard work that I have done. It's taken it back to the last draft, basically, that it was at. And then if I go back to the service analyzer, let's refresh this. I should not see this in here anymore. So if I type in a keyword hall, I only have one now, where before I had two. And it was sitting over here. I don't see it. See, I got some services that I need to clean up, but like I said, this is my home lab, so I'm always playing in here. I did mention data integrations. I did mention content packs. Go up to configuration, data integrations. There is content packs for IT Essentials work. I'm pretty sure I probably said this in other videos, but I'm going to say it again here, where you do have content packs for IT Essentials work, and there is content packs for IT Service Intelligence, and they are adding more. Splunk and Cisco are working together to bring in stuff for Catalyst Center, Meraki, Thousand Eyes. That's some of the newer stuff, App Dynamics. So there's a lot of things that you can do out of the box. You will, now I will say out of the box. When you download IT Service Intelligence or IT Essentials Work, there is a Splunk content pack that you will also need to download. I have covered this in previous videos, how to install that as well. It's as simple as just like installing IT Essentials Work or IT Service Intelligence. You stop Splunk, untar the package, and restart Splunk. But here we have integration library and then deployed integrations. I don't have any, they're all inactive right here because I don't have any of this except for, I could enable Meraki stuff. And then the content library. This is where I've installed monitoring Microsoft Windows, which, like I said, I've gone over this in previous videos. So go find that information. And then monitoring Splunk as a service pack. I guess it's got some new content. Somebody needs to do do some upgrading on their own environment. Yes, I know. All right, so now back to service sandboxing and not going down the rabbit hole of other stuff. Here you can see I can now come back in here and start making changes again to this service if I would like to. I can delete this service and just start over. Whatever you need to. I've shown you how to bring in another service template and where you can work with this. And this is where, actually, do I have, here's entities, KPIs, service dependencies, simulated health, settings, and there's that service. If I click this, once I publish it, it will enable it. So I'm not going to do that. And if you notice, when I did click that, it'd save as a draft. So it remembered that I had this enabled. I don't remove it again. For South, if I wanted to, I don't believe, yeah. I was hoping that I could just clone. I don't think I can clone. Nope. So I was curious if I could actually, because I'm going to make the same thing. I'm going to make this same service, but I don't believe inside of here, maybe if Splunk product team ever watches this, that might be a neat feature to be able to, or I need to keep digging and see if there is a way to do it. Because I want North Meraki sensors. I want one that says South Meraki sensors. So what I'm going to have to do is create new service and South Meraki sensors. Not that it's a big deal to create this like this, but it would have been nice to, Control C, Control V, and have have one like this. Or what I could have done is gone through and create a template of North, and then later on bring that template in via this create service template, and then just build out everything I need once I get one template built. I've done this for another environment with the Kubernetes data. So if I want to bring in multiple stations, I don't have to rebuild the station from scratch and all the different pieces. I can actually import it from a CSV. I created a CSV that will be, these are going to be videos that I'm going to get to because I'm going more into IT service intelligence, and I find that one will be a good one to do later on. However, for today, hopefully you've learned more about service sandboxing and what you can do. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. And as always, happy spelunking.